Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me. Today is Saturday, July 20th. July is flying by. Goodness sakes. Today, in today's gospel, it comes from Matthew chapter 12, verses 14 to 21. And it says, "But the Pharisees went out and took counsel against him to put him to death. When Jesus realized this, he withdrew from that place. Many people followed him, and he cured them all. But he warned them not to make him known. This was to fill what had been spoken through Isaiah the prophet. Behold my servant whom I have chosen, my beloved in whom I delight. I shall place my spirit upon him, and he will proclaim justice to the Gentiles. He will not contend or cry out, nor will anyone hear his voice in the streets. A bruised reed he will not break, a smoldering wick he will not quench, until he brings justice to victory, and in his name the Gentiles will hope." Today I got to thinking about that, and of course, I listen to Hallow every day, and Jeff Cavins and his reflection on this, and his reflection was actually titled, "Who's Holding the Map?" But my first thought whenever I was actually reading this was, he told them not to make him known. How hard would that be? Could you imagine? You're witnessing all of these miracles, all of these things that Jesus is doing and things that he's saying, and he doesn't want you to mention it. He doesn't want you to say anything because the timing, I guess, wasn't right. This wasn't the time that he wanted it revealed. Jeff also talked about how when you think about from Isaiah, and it says, "A bruised reed he will not break, a smoldering wick he will not quench." So a smoldering wick he will not quench. So in that, you think about when that wick is getting close to burning out. Or when you think of an oil lamp, is what Jeff talked about, an oil lamp, and you have that wick. And, back then they had a container of olive oil, and it was filled with, and you put a cloth in it and you filled it. But when that oil was gone, that wick would just smolder. I really thought about that, and I thought about our faith. And unless that container continues to be filled with oil, it's going to burn out. And then you think about, same thing with you, me, my hope, my faith. It's going to burn out. It's going to flicker. But who quenches, our thirst? He quenches that thirst. And that's why we have to continue to fill it. We have to continue to fill our need for him. And that could be reading his word every day and drinking it in. It could be praying the rosary. It could be both. It could be doing the Angelus every day. It could be all these different things that we could be doing. People I've talked to people who know me know that, distracted by my dogs. They're outside with me today, and one of them is trying to get out of the fence. And so if you know me, you know that every day at 3 o'clock, I set my alarm to pray Divine Mercy. If I don't get the entire Divine Mercy prayed at that time, then I always say a prayer for his grace, even if it's, "Jesus, I trust in you." Saying the Angelus, setting your alarm to say the Angelus every day. I'm not very faithful of that. I'll be honest, it wasn't my grandparents, my mother, they probably grew up with that. I did not. It wasn't stressed as much as praying the rosary and other prayers that we prayed growing up. But quenching my thirst for him, my filling up what I need from him daily is in his word and journaling to him in my letters to Papa. So I ask you, what is it that you do that fills you up? Do you turn to Jesus or do you turn to someone else? This week, starting this past Wednesday, was the Eucharistic Congress here in Indiana. And David and I bought tickets, and due to just conflict of scheduling and stuff, we were only really able to go yesterday on Friday. The older I get, the more I notice that I'm not real fond of crowds. And there were 60,000 people in Indianapolis yesterday. And I know that I put it all in Jesus' hands. And he told me in prayer yesterday, Mariels, what are you worried about? What are you concerned about? I'm concerned about getting there. I'm concerned about, my dogs at home. I've got 3 dogs. I'm concerned about, am I going to find parking? I'm concerned about, are we going to find good seats? I'm concerned, all these things. And it's just so silly about the things that I was concerned about. All I should have been concerned about was being in the presence of Jesus and excited about that. And I was, don't get me wrong. But I should have let all that go. Did we stay? We didn't. We stayed for part of the day. And we got to go to Mass, and that was amazing. And we got to hear some speakers, and that was great too. But Jeff Cavins made a very good point today. We might spend thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars to attend a seminar or something that's going to better ourselves. This is an awesome seminar to better yourself in the Holy Eucharist. If you haven't watched it, please do. It's on EWTN. And I think it's going to be, I know it's streamed live there, but you'll also maybe be able to find it later. So I think about, all the different, over my years of teaching and my years of, that all the things that I went to. Money spent on bettering myself, trying to better myself. The books that were bought that I was going to read that I never did. There were a few, but really, honestly, there's one book. I've talked about that before. And it's the Bible and His Word. And you can find your answers there in that Word. So today usually my reflections are very brief. Today I'm going on 10 minutes. But today I personally think about what can I do in order to keep the oil in this vessel filled so that flame never burns out. What can you do to fill yourself with Jesus? All right. Go out and give Him Jesus.